And we're live.
We are live
now. Blackity black, black, black.
That song sounds good to me.
Right? That's as tunage as I can get. Like,
I still like that idea of sending the Blackity Black little ditty to people on Twitter.
And let them all do it.
And let them all do it and send us their recordings and then just putting it all together.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put that out there to the universe because that would be so fun and collaborative.
That's what I'm all about. And just hearing like everyone's voices come in, that would make me so happy.
It's like, hi everybody.
Welcome. We are so excited for this panel. I think we're gonna give it like 2 more minutes or so to wait for some more people to show up, and then we are going to get started. So, how's everyone's day going so far?
Black.
My day is black. How's yours?
I cannot. I have accomplished absolutely nothing today because I have just been like preparing for this panel. And of course, I realized that my dog had a grooming appointment at 8:30 a.m. And so I had to drop him off. And he's probably going to be done when we get started. Wait.
You know what? It's okay, guys. We're gonna get it together. I love the comments are so lit already. Also, everybody in the comments, I'm gonna click out soon. To put their disclaimer out there. Here at Black Prose, we are everything blackity black, black, black. If that bothers you, go ahead and hit that backity back button and don't feel the need to stay. So yeah, be good. No self-hate, no hate at all, and enjoy this panel.
Thank you.
I'm freaking out now.
Bye, Brittany. All right, we are about to get started. Everybody, welcome to Black Prose Book Club, Black Prose Club, where Black stories, Black voices have always mattered. I am so excited to kick off the Black Book Summit today with our very first panel, Unsung Black Booktubers You Should Know. I have some amazing special guests here, and I want them to introduce themselves. But first, I will introduce myself. I am the moderator of today's panel. My name is Oshale of Oshi Reads, and essentially, in this panel, we just want to, highlight these amazing women and the content that they make and get a little bit more behind the scenes look into who they are and how their Black identity has really informed what they make here on this platform. And also to highlight some of our OGs who really paved the way for some of the amazing stuff that we're able to do. So without further ado, I will let them introduce themselves.
Oh. Should I go first?
Anybody.
I thought I'd stop there because I wasn't sure if I should go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Deeqa, aka Down to the Last Page. I'm actually, compared to everyone else here, I really started doing BookTube last year. I literally started properly last year. I took advantage of the fact that we were into lockdown. I wasn't working at that period of time when I started BookTube, and it was something I always wanted to get involved in, especially when I saw that it was actually a thing at the back end of 2019. And yeah, I'm on various different platforms. I also have a website where I do book reviews too.
Awesome. All right, we'll have Sherri go next.
Cool. I'm Sherri. I'm over at Obsidian Text and Tangents. I, like Deeqa, am also a new booktuber. I started my channel in July of 2020, and I've been having fun. It's so nice to talk about the books to other people who've read them, and instead of just, spilling all of my opinions and thoughts at my friends, which I still do. But yes.
I love that. I'm Neeks. My channel is called Neeks. That trips a lot of people up for some reason. No, I've been here a little bit longer. I think I started in the last 3 months of like 2019 or something. And it's been really fun. I've met a lot of great people, and I think I said this to someone earlier, but when I first stumbled across BookTube, like way back when, not going to age myself, it didn't look like this. It didn't look as, melanated. So I was really excited not only to find community here, but
to find like a super solid community who didn't mind that I was full of nonsense words. So that was really great.
I love that all of you started your channels within the last, I would say, year to like in that 2-year range. Sherri, I think you were the most recent, if I believe, right? You started, wait, no, Deeqa and Sherri, I think, right? During lockdown?
Yeah, last year.
Last year, okay. And Neeks, remind me again when exactly you started. Was it the 2020 or 2019?
I want to say 2019, like November 2019.
Okay, so you've all started your channels relatively in that same space of the last year to 2 years. And I just wanted to know what really made you take that last step to start. I'm really curious.
For me, it was just I went through surgery, and my boyfriend bought me like Six of Crows and Shatter Me, I think, because he was like, I remember that you like books. Here's some books. Get better. And he laughed. And I was like, oh shit, I remember I like reading. Oh, can I curse?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was like, oh, I remember I like reading. So I started reading, and then like I looked up, I wanted to know what other people thought about Six of Crows, because I was like, oh, I like this. Is that problematic? And then I found a BookTube channel, and it had like 18 videos about Six of Crows. And I was like, oh, this is a thing still. Wow. And that's how I was like, I'm going to do it now. And so I did it then.
Okay. And what about you, Deeqa?
For me, I have like the main purpose why I started BookTube was I have a bookshelf that has just been collecting dust. Unfortunately, there's been more books going in there than actually coming off for me to read. And when we went into lockdown, I thought, okay, I'll be at home. I could actually do something about me actually picking up those books, reading those books, potentially bringing out videos. And at the back end of 2019 is when I saw that BookTube was a thing. I know this sounds naive, but prior to that, I didn't even know BookTube existed. So it was just a flood for me at the end of 2019. Oh my God, it's an actual thing where people go on, and I do love books and obviously want to talk about my interest in books. And then I was furloughed for a small period of time while I was at work. And that was the last nail in the coffins. I literally had nothing else I was doing at the time. And I brought up the courage to film my first video to put it out there. And I guess I just never stopped since. And then a year and a bit later, I was able to launch my website, able to get loads of reviews, interact with so many different authors online, and hopefully still growing.
Wow, that's awesome. What about for you, Sherri?
Nice. So I discovered BookTube in a very similar fashion as Neeks and Deeqa, where in like 2018, I had just finished reading a book, and I was like, okay, and reading for pleasure has always been a very solitary activity for me. And I would like say words at my friends, but it wouldn't really be a conversation because me and my friends all read very like different things, and we're never reading the same thing at the same time. So I was like, I need to talk to someone who's read this. And by talk, I mean find someone else's words on the internet. And so I like YouTubed it, and I was like, oh snaps, this is like a whole thing. And so then I got really into watching videos and finding reviews of books that either I've read or that I want to read. And I got really into that. And so in 2020, when March came around and the states went into lockdown, and Jerry over at Onyx Pages started quarantine pages. Shout out to you all as hosts. Shalay was there. Brittany was there. I was just like, oh, cool. This seems interesting. I'm just gonna join one day and like see how it goes. In my head, it was going to be like a lot of people there, and I wasn't going to have my camera on, and so it would kind of be like I was like invisible. That's not exactly how that went, but I really enjoyed it and enjoyed that community and that space that Injury created, and from that, really connected with people who were already on YouTube. I was going to say fellow YouTubers. At this time, I was not booktubing. So, Injiri, Brittany, Noria, Tati and I like started this little friend group, and I was the only one who wasn't doing BookTube. And basically, I was strongly encouraged that other people would also like to hear my opinions. And I was like, really? And they were like, yeah, you should do it. And so then I started doing it, and I've been having fun. So I'm continuing to do it.
I love that everything came out so organically for everybody, and it wasn't necessarily something that was super planned out or that you stressed out about. You just saw the community, you felt like you had something to add to it, and so you started. I remember when I started my channel many moons ago, it was interesting because I had been watching BookTube for about a year or two before I started, and even though there weren't a lot of Black booktubers at the time, there were hardly any at that point. I never really let that hold me back. And I'm really glad that I didn't. I didn't think too much into it in the sense of, oh, I don't see a lot of people who look like me making videos. That was kind of a fleeting thought, but it was more about the excitement to share my passion for reading and the books that I've been reading. And like y'all, I didn't really have people in my life at that time that I could really share that with. So it was just like this creative outlet that I could just, connect with people and really talk about the books that I've been reading. And I find that that's a very common thread even amongst like Black booktubers. I haven't talked to a lot of Black booktubers that were like, well, I was kind of scared to start because there weren't a lot of Black booktubers. I kind of hear that, but it's not the driving force. The driving force is I found the community. I was really intrigued. I really want to share my love for reading. And so I joined. And I love how the love for reading is kind of this overarching theme that has broken down barriers for us that may have otherwise been like, because I know in other things in my life, I'm like, I don't know, like it doesn't seem like it's going to be a very diverse crowd, or I don't know if I want to do that. I might be the only Black woman there. I don't know if I want to put myself in that situation, but it wasn't like that with BookTube at all. It was more like, I'm so passionate about this and I want to share my love for reading. And so I'm just going to do it. And the reward has been over time, this community being built, and over time finding other people. So I always find that to be so fascinating because I love to ask other Black booktubers how you started. And they usually don't, they don't lead with fear, right? They don't lead with, well, I was a little nervous because I'm Black, da, da, da. They lead with joy, with passion, with, I was so intrigued by the community. And now we have built this community of so many other Black booktubers. And so I kind of want to go into a little bit more about, you all started kind of around the time when the conversation about Blackness on BookTube was really getting started. For a long time, it was kind of like the elephant in the room. No one discussed, but it was very obvious. And now we have this huge movement going on. And so I kind of want to talk about that, how that has informed the way that you create videos and the way that you approach the platform.
I'll go first. So funnily enough, I think that because I happened to come in when shortly after that weird person situation happened. She was like, I'm not a nice person. And we were like, bitch, we know. I happened to come in like right after that happened. So it kind of made me okay with being like, so here's the deal. We Black up in this bitch. I can't change it. I don't want to. It's what it is. So that really helped me, in my opinion, create as much of an authentic situation on my channel as I could. I read a lot of BIPOC authors because I didn't get to as a kid. Again, not aging myself, but that wasn't readily available when I was a kid. So if someone stumbles across my channel and they're like, seeing this catalog of videos about books with brown and Black people on them, great, fantastic, I've done my job. If someone stumbles across one of my long opinion videos and they happen to like it and find camaraderie within it, great, awesome, I've done my job. So that's how it's kind of informed how I make my content. I hope that made sense.
It does.
I think for me, I have really been very thankful to come in and to discover BookTube at the timing that I did, because in looking for the first video, I looked up the review. I would look up the book title, but I also scrolled down until I saw some brown faces because some brown and black faces, because I, like you, Shalay, I'm like, that's something I'm very cautious of when I'm in a room, when I'm in a space. I work in corporate America. I'm in a very white space often. And that's not really my vibe outside that space. That's not how I read, really. That's, and so that's just something that's a part of how I interact in the world at large. And so I was looking for plus vibe opinions. And I'm like, okay, well, can we start on some kind of common playing field, especially when there's things that I know about that I wanted to hear someone else's opinions about the book, and I'm like, oh, this is connected to like race or identity in a certain way that I want to hear other people who share identities that I have, what their opinions were. And with that being said, I also think so. In looking up, there were people. There's still not a ton when YouTube is the algorithm, but they're not usually at the top, and you have to search. But the great thing about the Black BookTube community is that once you find one person, you can easily find everyone else. Everyone's really supportive. They call other people out in their videos. Lots of people have playlists with other Black booktubers highlighted in them and everything. So it was really easy to find a community once I was there. And just because of how I identify and what I read, like it's just real Black most of the time. Even when I'm reading an author or a story that is not Black, I'm still Black. So my interaction with the story will still be a very Black perspective. And that's what I say in my reviews. And I came here to talk about these books. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Love it.
With me, and especially about when I joined, it was around April time, back end of March, April time. And it was this huge boom of new booktubers joining at the time. So when I was in my own creative space and when I was sort of producing my own videos, in the way that, when I went into it, I never thought that I had to be a certain way just because of the color of my skin or because I was Black. I had opinions. These were as valid as, say, any other person. I was lucky enough in a community that I grew up in that even if I was the only Black person in the room, I never allowed that to ever hold me back. It wasn't a case. It also gave me the opportunity to stand out that, yes, I may be the only Black person here. Well, listen to me then. You will damn hear my voice and you will definitely hear what I've got to say. I've not been one to hold back when it came to things like that. So when my creative process, when it came to in that space, was I like to talk about this. I'm not necessarily going to be going down the same path as X, Y, and Z. Me and X, Y, and Z are completely different, but I have a different story to tell, and I'd want to be able to tell that story. Luckily, again, I grew up in a very multicultural, had a very multicultural childhood. Being around a lot of different races, not just Black, but loads of Asian, loads of South Asian. So there are a lot of stories from those backgrounds I was able to also talk about, also have the opportunity to tell and talk about on my page. So when all of that was happening, well, these are the same things I was talking about. It doesn't mean it's any different when, unfortunately, there was an opportunity, like you were saying, that we've got to express ourselves more. I don't feel like we needed to wait for that to happen for us to finally be, for more people to take notice of us. We've been here the whole time. You just needed to look a bit harder.
That's absolutely correct. And it's nice to see y'all and people who are starting their channels around now or have started their channels in the last year or two benefit from how much stronger and more open and forthright the community, the Black BookTube community, but the BookTube community at large has become about diversity, so to speak, but just about recognizing that we're all different and we all need to have our voices heard, that we all deserve to have our channels recognized and have our content seen. I remember back when I started my channel, there was this kind of despondency. Like I said, being Black on BookTube and having a Black identity on BookTube was very much an elephant in the room type of situation back then. And I would remember, you know, starting your channel at the same time as others, you know, maybe perhaps white booktubers, or at the time I remember there were a lot of large booktubers of Asian descent, and you would kind of start your channel around the same time as them, and you would see their channels just take off, right? And you'd be making the same type of videos. You know, back then it was a lot of wrap-ups, it was a lot of book hauls. Not much has changed, but you know, we do have a lot more variety now. And you would be like, well, I'm making the same videos as them, and you know, we're doing the same thing, and I started at the same time, and yet they have 2 times the views. You know, they have 3 to 4 times the subscriber count, the likes, they have more engagement. And it's like that sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach where you know what's happening. But back then we didn't have the guts, and honestly, we didn't even have the numbers, right? To come together and be like, this is fucked up. Like, this is not okay. And that's something that I just saw a comment, you know, about how a lot of Black booktubers who started, you know, kind of around my time, maybe a wave or 2 after me, did stop making videos because of the discouragement, right? And there wasn't an avenue, like I said, to really talk about it. There was a lot of perhaps fear of being, you know, seen as being bitter or, you know, whatever the case may be. And like I said, there just wasn't strength in numbers. There weren't a lot of us, you know, and we didn't really band together like we have now. So I guess I say all that to say, what is the motivation for y'all to make videos? Because I know for me, I did lose motivation quite a few times. Y'all are just starting out, so I really want to know what drives you, along with, you know, what type of videos do you really enjoy making?
Before I get into it, I do want to say, like, you, Oshale, were one of the first Black booktubers that I found when I was like, let me try and do this thing. But I happened to have found you the day after you made your video where you're like, I'm going on a break. And I was like, what? Come back. So I was like, okay, well, that's not a great sign, but I was like, this is so but you came back, so I was like, okay, it's fine.
I always come back.
But yeah, a huge motivation was just to like find more people who were really into books, because I think for a lot of us, we're in areas where like maybe our family is not made up of big readers. Maybe we're not dating someone who's a big reader. Maybe we don't have friends who are big readers. So finding other people that are big readers and we can just like fangirl, fanboy, fan them about books is really great. So that's my motivation. I just like talking about books.
Oh, I'll go. Sorry.
Deeqa and I play chicken every time because I'm like, is she about to go? Am I about to go? And I know my speaker has an echo, so I'm like, I'm not going to unmute until I know which one.
For me, I mean, that's actually a really good question, because there were times where I feel sometimes I guess with the numbers and the whole number games, I feel like I am losing my motivation a little bit. But I think what keeps my motivation is when I see some of the comments on my video. When I start doing my videos, in the beginning, it was a case of I could see all the types of videos, but honestly, I never had the mental or emotional or the physical capacity to do those sorts of videos. And, you know, shout out and well done to everyone that can keep up and do those sort of things, but I just couldn't do that. And I knew I wasn't in a position to be able to do that. So I thought if I could sort of stick to some of the same things I'd like to do, hopefully create mini series, things that I know that I could put out, it made it easier and hopefully made my content a little bit more consistent. When I start making a video, I already know how I'm going to edit it. I already know what I'm going to put in there, because I really enjoy the editing process. I really enjoy all the gags, all the jokes. I really try and get my humor into the videos when I make the videos, because if I find it's something fun to tell, or if it's something good I want to talk about, it's always good to sort of engage my my audience. So the way I think of it is, I suppose at this point is, this is the video I want to create, and I'm just going to do it at this point. I mean, in the back of my mind, I try not to let that discourage me. I know that there have been people in my life who picked up reading more because of when I've told them about my channel, that I've gone back into reading more, or people who have been more intrigued with all the books I sort of read, because I tend not to read the new releases. I tend to read a lot of, like I said, because when I started my BookTube channel, it was purely to start reading the books on my bookshelf. So a lot of those books are 15, 20 years old. And I try and encourage people to, okay, X, Y, and Z bought out a new book. That's great. But what about this book from 15 years ago? The story is amazing. And in that way, you get to discover new authors. And I've discovered 2 new authors that way, where I read their book, which I picked up in a charity bin somewhere, but I got hooked with their writing style, and now I'm a fan.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell us about these books, because we're always looking for book recommendations. Okay,
yeah,
drop that and then just go. Sherri.
I had forgot what the question is, but I remember now. It's what's the motivation?
All that matters.
Sometimes in dialogue, you're like actually listen to the person, so then you forget what the question is. That's what happened. But motivation. I think my motivation for continuing to do videos, it's literally just I have a lot of opinions. And I've been encouraged to share them. I'm like, well, people must want to hear what my opinions are. And I can't, it's just like maybe not appropriate to just like randomly spew them out to everyone all the time. So I should funnel them into this more appropriate venue. And I'm doing the recording, so I can talk for however long I want. So it's great. And then it's like, if you're gonna watch, you watch. And if you don't want to listen, you could just like stop playing the video, push all the way through. But it's up to you. But that's my main motivation, just because I read these books and I get really I'm very excitable about them. And so I'm like, I need to tell someone, I need to talk to someone about it. And so yeah, that's my main motivation. It is a struggle. I think a lot of people, including myself, will go through these periods where it's like, oh, these numbers don't really, this is like not equitable to other people who started at the same time or doing the same things. And I do think that is quite discouraging, but it's also been really motivating to remember why I started it, right? It's like I didn't start for the numbers. It would be nice if everyone wanted to listen to my opinion, because I feel like it's pretty important, but whatever. Your own choices. But yeah, so I think that can be very discouraging, but it's a constant reminder to stay focused on why I started it and what is bringing me joy about it, and center that and how I engage in the platform and with people.
Absolutely. I think one of the key things to remember is to make content that feels true and authentic to you and that brings you joy. And also the sense of community that you start to build when you start to recognize, certain subscribers that are always there and always commenting and engaging with your things. And when you start to make friends, like that has been one of the biggest things for me, is making friends and doing collaborations with them, whether they be buddy reads or whether you start a book club or whatever the case may be, is forming those connections and those bonds really makes it worthwhile to stick around and to keep creating. I really want to delve more into your individual channels and the types of videos that you make and the types of videos that you like making the most. Because if anyone's watching that isn't subscribed, then I want them to kind of have a little bit of a taste test of what it is that you each do. So I think we're going to start this time with Deeqa.
Like I quickly mentioned earlier, I don't my BookTube, the reason why I started is because of my bookshelf. So I have my TBRs are called bookshelf TBRs, and they come in editions. I'm currently going through the first editions, and they'll be released as book reviews again, because they're incredibly old books. I also have other little series on there, like top 5 series. So I have like my top 5 books that made me cry, or top 5 children's books and things like that I've read over the years, which I've put in there. Just sort of a small snapshot of books that I've enjoyed that I'd want to share with other people. One of the books I do have a couple of readathons on there. So one of the ones I do enjoy doing are my book hauls, because I tend to buy books, again, like I mentioned, unless it's an author I've been following for years and I know they've got a book coming out. I tend to buy a variety of books that comes from South Asian authors, from Black authors, from white authors, from Japanese authors. So when I buy them, I always tend to also explain what about this book was interesting, why I bought it. A lot of the book buys are sort of reflected on my own personality. So because I have such a wide reading range, so adult fiction, middle grade and YA, I only started reading that when I started BookTube. I barely ever read any YA, which is strange, because I know it's quite huge within the BookTube community. I grew up reading a lot of adult fiction, a lot of contemporary fiction. So I sort of encompass all of that, and it's just little snapshots of this book is interesting, I think you should buy it, and little things like that. And I tend to always refer back to my website where I have more reviews. So if there are books that you'd want to know more stuff about, which I do talk about on my book haul, I tend to refer back to my website. And yeah, just little mini snapshots of favorite books I like, books I think other people might like, and just sort of my opinions all thrown in there.
What are some books that you've read or are reading currently that you're enjoying that you would recommend?
I've liked rediscovering a lot more Black British authors again. So a lot of them, luckily, because of, again, I didn't know why it felt like it needed what had happened last year for this to have come out more into the forefront, but in the same time, I'm glad it did. I've got it actually right here. So Candice Carty-Williams, Notting Hill Carnival, A West Side Story. If you want a taste of British culture and a little bit of South London, I would say this is definitely one. It's only 100 pages. West Side Story, I've finished that recently, and I'll have a review up for that. So I really enjoyed that. I'm also reading, I read about 2 to 3 books consecutively at the same time, because I'll have one that will go on my YouTube, and then another one that I might be reviewing if somebody got in contact with me to review one of their books, and then one for my website. I've almost finished. I took a break from Homegoing, but that was actually quite a heavy book, so I took a break from that, and I'm sort of finishing that off at the moment. And I've got another one that was one of my bookshelf reads, which I've just finished, Dark Hearts Forever, which was hard to get through, not because it was in any particularly hard topics. It was just not, I think, my style of story for me to actually read. It was a sort of a middle grade YA, but if in terms of recommendations, I recommend anything that Dorothy Comson has ever written, because I'm a big Dorothy Comson fan, and her writing style ranges so she has such a range of writing style that you could have a very deep story one second, and then a very sort of light chick flick story the other. So anything across all her books, I'll definitely recommend.
I love when y'all get passionate. This is my favorite thing. Sherri.
I remember what the question is. Well, this is a preview to my channel. Y'all ready? Okay. What's up, fam? This is Sherri. You're watching Obsidian Texts and Tangents. Oh, wait. I hear my tea kettle going off. That's how 90% of the videos start, because I do not time that very well. So I just set a mood. I don't know how much of that mood comes across in the video, but I light a candle, I get my tea, and I'm like, all right, let me talk about these books.
I love it.
Mostly my channel right now consists of what TBR, so what I'm about to read, wrap-ups that sometimes function as reviews, because I tend to talk a lot about the books in the wrap-ups. And then I have some standalone reviews for books. And then I also have a playlist from collabs that I've done. So I've been on a few lives in different capacities, either moderating or helping out in some way. And so I have that playlist also on my channel. And then there's a couple other things I'm interested in like starting to do in my channel. And I just like haven't recorded videos for them yet, but I have some ideas. I don't know if I want to tell y'all right now.
You don't have to tell us.
I'll tell y'all later. Okay. I'll tell y'all later when it starts to happen. So then it's like, look at the thing I did instead of being like, oh, I still didn't do that yet. So, there's that. And then, yeah, so that's pretty much, so my genre of reading is basically very, very heavily Black science fiction and fantasy, and just science fiction and fantasy in general. And then every so often I'll throw in like contemporary of some sort or a memoir. Because I'm like, I should read this too. Like, I'm interested, but I'm like, I haven't prioritized reading it. Because it's definitely those are not the first things I'll grab. So even if it's a story or by someone that I'm interested in, I might not prioritize it until I'm like, we gotta get a couple of these in this year. So I'm like, let me go ahead and do that. But other than that, that's pretty much what I read. I am like 100% a fangirl of Octavia E. Butler.
I mean, look at your shirt.
So I was like, I was deciding what I wanted to wear today, like last week. And I was like, I know which one I'm going to wear. So I love this shirt. I got it from Sister Sci-Fi. And the only thing I don't like about it is that the other person I'm a fangirl of 100% is N.K. Jemisin. And N.K. is all the way at the bottom. And I'm like, man, what the heck? But Octavia, Nettie, and N.K., I am in the midst of low-key trying to read through all of their works. Mm-hmm. Like, that is what's guiding my reading ever since I started back up reading regularly, which was in 2018. And shout outs to the OEB Slow Read group hosted by Injiri over at Onyx Pages, Tatiana over at Musical Tati, and Isis at Sister Sci-Fi. Because thank you for giving me structure to complete this goal I have. And so that's been great. So I've actually been moving through Octavia probably faster than I would have on my own. I'm obsessed with that. I talk up. There's not a video that I record that does not at some point sneak Octavia or into it. They're not the writers at all. It'll be about a completely different book or author. And at some point, one of the three, Octavia, Nettie, or NK, are going to get thrown in there. Yes, I'm calling them by their first names if they're friends, because manifestation. Okay. Just one day. Okay. That's what I believe.
Gosh, you've given me so much. Like, the first thing is like Binti and like the prideful like position on your shelf. We already know what you're about with your shirt. And I love us because we're always going to shout each other out, and you shouting out the Octavia Butler slow read just like gives me all the joy.
I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed.
All right, Neeks. You want a little rewind. So rewind, basically, I want you to give us a little taste test of your channel, what type of videos you make, what you love making the most, what books you like to read, and then some book recommendations in the sense of like what you've read recently that you're loving.
Okay. My channel is chaos. That's all it is. I like everyone's backgrounds are kind of speaking to their aesthetic right now. Like, you have Sherri with her bookshelf where it's like proudly displaying the authors that are amazing. Deeqa, she's calm, serene, a plain background. She's doing the thing. Organization. Oshale, this beautiful flower painting, perhaps. A tapestry? Me. What is this? What is it? That's what my channel is. Some of my crowning, honestly, some of my favorite videos would be the Year of the Witching review. I really got into depth with that, and I would like to do more of that on my channel. That was like the first time where I was like, oh shit, I'm actually smart. That's amazing. And then, and then I produced a beat and did the rap for Bad Bitch Readathon, which I unfortunately could not finish myself, even though it was my own readathon. My dog died that month. I was not about it. I know. Big Brew, he's missed. And then other than that, I've gotten really comfortable expressing my opinion in a less angry way than I think that I would have in the past. Like my most recent one was about, I think, 1-star reviews, or it was about how authors are like, don't review our books meanly, no matter what. And I think that brought up a lot of really great discussion points just amongst other people in the book community. So I'm really proud of that video. I'd like to do more of that, but I have to wake up and choose a calm sort of violence to do those, and I'm not very calm as a person. So that's kind of me in a nutshell.
At least you know yourself.
Neeks, I love that video when you're like, since when do we not get to say our opinion? I'm not gonna say everything is nice just because you had a hard. We all were in this pandemic together.
Baby girl.
Thank you, Neeks. Thank you. Also, I love your cats.
Thank you. But just like with Sherri, I am working my way through N.K. Jemisin entire bibliography. I must read it all. But this is what I'm on today. Shout out to Thistle and Verse because we're doing a live show at 7 today.
Nice.
Just so you all know, in chaotic fashion, I have 100 pages left. So we're going to be doing that after this panel. So
Oh my God.
you got to do it. You got to just do what's true in your heart. That's what we do here.
Oh my God, I love it. You're going to try to read 100 pages by 7 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it's totally doable.
What time is it where you are?
Huh?
What time is it where you are right now? I don't know what time zone you're in.
Oh, 2:42. That's what it is.
Okay, you can do it. I believe in you.
I believe in you.
Thank
There's
you.
some doubters out here, but I believe.
Yeah.
Fuck the haters.
I completely understand. There have been many a Sunday night that right before Black Prose Club does our like book live for our book of the quarter or whatever. I still have like 70 pages left. Like, this is
last week was the live show for the OEB slow read. I'm gonna keep bringing this up. Sorry, guys. For the OEB slow read for Mind of My Mind. And I literally finished reading Mind of My Mind 30 minutes before the show started. I was like, there's no way I'm missing the show, and I do not want spoilers. It was like, you must. I woke up at 6 a.m. that day, and I was like, this live show starts. So I feel you.
My thoughts are, you know what? Everything I'm feeling is going to be really fresh. I'm not going to need to take notes. It's right here, you know? It's very close to me right now.
It's a smart move, is what it is.
It's just how you be the most prepared. I like that. I like that perspective. That's what I'm doing from now on.
Also, Perpetual Pages bought up Satan. I'm proud of that video. I'm very proud of that video.
All right.
When in doubt.
I had some burning questions I have to ask y'all before we run out of time. Who is a Black booktuber that inspired you to start your channel?
As discussed, Oshale was actually an omen. She left as I wanted to start, and I was like, whoa.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have that ringing in my head the next time I want to take a break. I'm going to be like, who is going to DM me? I can't. I have to keep going. I have to push through. Mental health. Who cares?
Who's that? We don't know her.
Oh my gosh. Sherri?
So I mentioned a little bit earlier, but my main squad of encouragement directly came from Njeri, Brittany, and Tati. And I don't know how many of you watching this personally know Njeri or watch enough of her videos to get to realize this, because I feel like you realize it pretty soon. It's like she will very specifically encourage you, and it'll be in a way that's like, the things you are saying are true. It doesn't really. It's like some people might interpret it as peer pressure, but it's like, no. All of these things are true. I should do this. She like did that me, and then everyone else also encouraged me. And then there's also like, just because I watched BookTube, I was like, Chloe makes like videos like the ones I would want to watch. Like also Chloe, if you're watching this, I want to be friends. Just shout out. Listen, this is shoot your shot, so that's what I'm doing.
I love it. Deeqa?
With me, there were two. One of them, the first one was Nana Reads and Smiles. I really liked her energy in her videos, and I really liked how she was coming across. And weirdly enough, this and another video of another booktuber, for the life of me, I don't know if they're still on BookTube anymore from when I saw this video of theirs, but it was about how a lot of black booktubers or booktubers of color are giving up BookTube. And it came up, and it's funny, I never get those recommended videos for non booktubers of color. It's always the booktubers of color that always get the recommended videos that come when they're quitting YouTube, which is really weird. So it was one of those videos I saw. And
you're like, yes, this is the hobby for me.
Shout out to the YouTube algorithm for that. I also I just
So-
there's some things that need to be done, but
they were talking about how in terms of representation, in terms of how, you know, we come on here and we try and do the same thing. Unfortunately, we're overlooked. We are not given enough credit for the work we do. We're not given enough, at least, representation. And with Nana Reads and Smiles, I think it was I'm so sorry, and I'm so sorry, I'll probably get crucified in the comments for this. It was, oh my God.
you will not, because nobody want to fight us. Okay.
No.
Trying to fight all of us.
The video that made me, it was the video that was interesting. It was,
Was it?
it was Michelle Obama's biopic, and they were doing an interview, and they were inviting certain booktubers, and I think they only invited
the BookTube series on YouTube, which we won't talk about that because that will make me angry. But yeah, I'm glad that encouraged you.
That because she was talking about that, and I realized that she's like that. There were so many other booktubers that could have come up and been able to get involved in that, and yet nobody was chosen. So it was those sorts of videos that I just thought, you know what, there should actually be more of us, more people being out there, being able to do BookTube, because regardless of, like I said, regardless of skin, like our skin color, why should we be demotivated just because we may not, unfortunately, be given the same platform as others?
Absolutely. And for you, I'm just curious because obviously you are a UK booktuber. Yeah. And have you been able to connect with other UK booktubers? Because I know that there are, I wouldn't say there are a lot of y'all, but I have found the ones that have, you know, been visible to me. But have you been able to connect with any other UK booktubers out of curiosity?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I know that I've been able to connect with Ben. I know he's in the chat as well. So he was one. I've been able to connect with another girl that we followed each other. And weirdly enough, we also share the same birthday. Lois is on Twitter. So I was able to connect with more. I think when my introduction to BookTube did come from more of the American booktubers. And then once I got a chance to meet or see a lot of the American ones, a lot of the UK ones did become a lot more obvious to me afterwards. So they're there. It just takes some time for me to get to them eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing I've noticed about the community is that we are so international. You know, the Black community is I mean, we're everywhere. And it's so cool to see, you know, Black people from the UK, Black people from the Caribbean, Black people from the continent pop up. And it's like, oh my gosh. And it's nice to make those little connections. Okay, so we are I think we've been on for about almost an hour. And so I want to kind of get into a little bit more about your creative process and the more technical side of making videos for anyone who's interested in the behind the scenes, or for those who are maybe curious about starting a channel themselves. I just want to talk a little bit about like filming, editing, whatever you're willing to share, because I know sometimes it's like, you don't want to give away all your secrets, but whatever you're willing to share, I would love to know. I think we're going to start with Neeks this time.
Biggest like secret of the trade would be one, find a good editor system, editing program. I use Filmora. Filmora has never led me astray. They add new features every single month, sometimes every single week, and you can get it for as low as like $10 a month. which I know it adds up, but it's seriously worth it if you don't want to go spring for Final Cut and get a whole ass MacBook, or if you don't want to get Premiere for PCs, PC Master Race people. Other creative process, like when I did the song, I found GarageBand one day on my iPad and decided to play around with it. And then I rapped a song thing. Rap. I don't want to call that rapping. My boyfriend called me Value City Estelle. It was very insulting.
No! Not Value City Estelle.
I mean, it's kind of a compliment. If I could compare to Estelle in any kind of way, I'm fine. And just have make the content you want, because I think a lot of people talk about this where we get onto BookTube and everyone's doing book hauls and book on hauls and these very cookie cutter reviews, and just do what you want. Don't be afraid of anything. Like, I think Ashley's been talking about this a lot recently, code switching. I code switch so many times in the middle of videos and no one seems to care. So I was like, okay, maybe people aren't terrible, maybe I'm not terrible. So just be you is my biggest advice. So yeah, don't be afraid. You don't have to be like, who's like a really big booktuber that is not Black, names, we don't know her, and you don't have to be that person.
Fill in the blank.
You have to be you. We throw it away.
I'll go first? Yeah. I thought I'd give it like about a 2-second delay.
We're so polite here. I love it.
So absolutely, just going on from what Neeks said about definitely do what you feel like wanting to put out and do. That's how I look at it. If there are certain because I sort of my main creative process, I'll go into that in a second, is I want to talk about a certain author. I've got a series where I do my author spotlights on my channel. Authors I remember reading growing up, I'll do that. I have a certain amount of books that I've bought over, a certain season. Oh yeah, I'll be doing a video about that because there are all sorts of different books, and I tend to always talk about them the following season, because then it gives people time to pick and sort of catch up. I want to talk about a book review, or there's a readathon. Yes, I'm going to talk about the books I read in that. So I've actually quite enjoyed being able to go at my own pace. And I would say once you find your pace, it makes it much more easier. It's so easy in the beginning, especially for me, I found falling into the trap where you need to release a certain type of video. You need to be a certain type of way. And when I could afford the time, when I was on furlough, I was doing that. I was literally being able to release videos all the time because I had that sort of time. And then again, nothing against anyone who could do that. I admire all the booktubers out there who consistently can bring out videos every week, every couple of weeks, a series of videos. I wish I was on that level. But I'll definitely say once you fall, it's much more easier to stay motivated when you've got your own pace to go at, or you're not sort of following anyone else, or you're not competing with anyone else either. But with my creative process, I currently use DaVinci Resolve 16. I had no editing experience when I started BookTube. I was the first, you would not believe it, but my first BookTube video, I edited the whole thing on my phone because I don't know how to use. I was really impressed with how I was able to get it all on my phone. I literally edited the whole thing. They even had music on. I've got a Samsung. You had music on there, so I just shoved it in there, and I thought, okay, this looks all right. Hopefully it translates well. But I think for me, it's been a journey, an experimentation journey. Every time I've wanted to try something different in my videos, or like I mentioned before, I always like to bring across, if I find something particularly funny, or if I knew that, my process when I was buying something, or when I was doing a certain thing, and I want to be able to project that into the video, I tend to learn something new every time I try and put that in. So whether that be, voice dilation, whether that be adding more sound effects, whether that be just generally how I incorporate different elements into my videos. So I've literally, as you call it, I learned on the job. So every time I have a new video and I want to do something new, I literally teach myself, I want to do this because it's going to look so good. And I hope it comes out as funny as it does in my head. Otherwise, I'll just fall flat on my face. But that's the sort of process I go through. And when I literally film, when I'm ready to film, I'm like, yeah, I know how I want to do it or what I'm going to insert in here. So in my head, I go into filming knowing how the end product's going to look like.
Amazing. Sherri?
So for me, I think I'll start with like when I finish reading a book, I'm usually either highlighting or taking notes of some form while I'm reading. And then after I'm finished, because I also, after doing a few videos, I decided that I wanted I wanted to come up with a specific review system because, okay, my namesake of my channel, I'm long-winded, which I'm sure you all can tell. And I also distract myself while I'm talking, so I'll go on tangents. So I personally need a little like outline to keep me focused on what I'm saying. I was like, oh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So I create like a little outline to keep me, it doesn't keep me on track, to get me back on track when I ramble. And then I record using my phone. I have a Samsung, and then I put it on my computer and actually have access to Premiere Pro. So the month before I started my channel, after I decided to start one, I was like, let me figure out just the basics of how to use this. Since I have access to this one, so I'm gonna figure out how to use this one. And then, Toby, I love you too, Toby. And then, and so I figured out how to use it, and then just went from there. And I focus on incorporating things that I like to see when I'm watching other people's videos. So I'm like, oh, I love when people have that little like do little intro like thing, and so and like cute little thumbnail, cute little icon. So I spent time like having fun creating the look to that before I started the channel, and I did that on Canva. So that was like really quick. I also did it with the help of one of my really good friends. Her name is Sola, because she like is very good with like aesthetic and design. And so I was like, these are the things I like. These are the colors I like. Help me. And then we kind of did the collaborative process. And I was like, this is exactly it. Good job. So I like have fun engaging my friends also in that process. And I asked a couple of my close friends, like, help me pick out my name. I was like, these are all the list of words. So I was like, these are words that I like. And then I kind of was like, which ones stick out to you that make you think of me too? And then I like narrowed it down and came up with my channel name. So that's kind of like the creative process that I've used in doing the channel. I really like the editing process. Aside from listening to my voice a lot, I don't know if anyone else has this issue, but like after a while, the sound of my own voice, I'm like, let's mute her. But I really enjoy learning new skills. So doing BookTube has allowed me to learn new skills and practice those new skills. So that's really fun to me.
Yeah, it's interesting because before I really got into making videos, I didn't realize how much time, effort, planning. I mean, and if, God forbid you work full time outside your home right now during the pandemic, or even within sometimes it's even worse when you work from home, trying to find the time to edit a video. And then for me, I find it a lot easier to actually like script my videos. I may not follow the script word for word, but just to have some type of guideline, because like you, Sherri, sometimes I'll go off on this tangent that I'll then have to edit out like 10 minutes of just why did I do this? So it's like, I like to have some type of script to just keep me like on track. And, if you've read a lot of books that month, or for me, it's like trying to remember everything that you read and what was, the names of the characters and what was going on. And, you got to keep it all on track. And it takes hours just to get one video produced and posted. So shout out to people who post videos daily. I don't know what type of magic. Have you been cloned and we just don't know about this? Because
it's sorcery.
Yeah, I'm a person who also, I really love sleep. So like I could potentially produce more videos, but I work full time, also like to watch TV and movies and talk to my friends and cook. And then it's like, am I gonna? Now I gotta actually, and then I'm like actually reading the book. So it's like I could stay up really late recording and or editing more videos, but I like to sleep. It's so fun. I love a nap. So I'm like, I love it.
Sherri with the classy shade. She's like, I have a life, friends, and I enjoy doing other things.
I did not mean for that to come out as shade, but I feel like I know people who do it, and I think it's like
they don't sleep.
I admire that kind of like grind culture to an extent. It's not for me though, because I'm like, I can't. We like to sleep and rest. That's when we like heal physically, mentally. I can't prioritize that lifestyle.
So true. I don't know how they do it, but I mean, I am in awe. Like whenever I look at my feed, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. You know, seeing their videos day after day after day. But for me personally, I just know that would completely kill my love and joy of creating. I just don't have it in me to churn on that level. A lot of times the books I read are a little bit on the heavier side. So it's like I need to sit with it a little while, I need to think what I really want to say. So I just don't have that skill, but it is an amazing skill set for those that possess it. So this portion of our live, I wanted to go more into talking about our OG Black booktubers who paved the way for us to sit here where we are right now and have this talk. And I just wanted to mention a few, and then I kind of wanted to talk, you know, y'all to have to join in the discussion. But I remember, I think the very first Black booktuber I ever saw was Deeqa from Brown Girl Reading.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember being intrigued. She lived in France. She was reading Black before it was a trend. It wasn't a trend for her. It was a lifestyle. It still is. She has an amazing channel and she really deserves more subscribers and more recognition. But she started the whole Read So Lit tag and challenge every Black History Month. I know that's been going on for so many years now successfully. And I remember, like you, Neeks, reading Black books as a child was just not there, you know? It's like, unless we were reading about slavery or some other type of trauma that happened to Black people in the, you know, throughout time, there weren't a lot of books for us, you know, even books talking about our liberation or books highlighting our heroes, highlighting our, you know, intellectuals and creatives and people who've really innovated and done amazing things. There weren't a lot of books. There weren't. And they weren't being given to us, right? They weren't part of the curriculum. It's not that there weren't a lot of books. That's not the right thing. They were there, but we didn't have access to them as children. At least I didn't. And so growing up in school, you're forced to read one way. And so when you're adult, you go back and you're just like, okay, I had no idea. And honestly, if I hadn't, one of my majors in college was actually African studies. And if that hadn't been one of my majors, I mean, there was so much of my education that I would have had to have happened outside of school, you know? And so finding Deeqa's channel was like a godsend because there were all these books that I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to read that. And I didn't even know about this author and I had no idea this author existed. And so finding her channel was one of those gems. And she kind of gave me the courage too, to talk about Black authors on BookTube, because this was another elephant in the room. When I started doing BookTube, the big thing was YA. The big thing was YA fantasy. The big thing was book hauls featuring YA books. You know, there wasn't a lot of variety. There were people doing other types of videos, but they weren't getting the views. They weren't getting the recognition. And almost no one was talking about Black books and Black authors or authors of any other ethnicity at all. And so finding her channel, I was just like, oh, okay, I can talk about the Black authors that I like. Here's someone doing it. So she's one of the people that I wanted to highlight. I also wanted to talk about some people who have started trends that I think that people don't realize that they started these trends. And someone that comes to mind, especially most recently for me, is Sherri of Onyx Pages. During Quarantine Pages, or rather during the pandemic, she started Quarantine Pages, which was kind of this whole, it was like this really nice project that began out of a place of finding a place for readers to connect during the pandemic, finding a place where people could come together and read silently and support each other no matter what you were going through personally, because the whole world is going through a trauma. And so she kind of started this thing of like silent reading on BookTube, because I'm like, does nobody realize that silent reading was not a thing before she did this? At least not that I remember. Maybe somebody was doing it and I didn't see. But just like the trend of it taking off. Go ahead, Sherri.
Well, I was just gonna say no, I don't. I do not recall seeing a single silent reading video. And then I don't know if you're gonna get to this part, but then with the actual like live sprints too. And then like
those are so popular now.
When Jerry started doing it, no one else that I subbed to was doing it.
I'd never seen it. Like the whole
never seen anyone do it.
Yeah, the read with me's, the live sprints, all that stuff. I mean, I think that it's one of those things that somebody starts something and it takes off, and it becomes something that everyone is intrigued by and starts enjoying, and you don't realize that someone had to start that. And it's sometimes in this community, we don't always get the credit that we deserve, especially as melanated creators. We don't always get that. Another person I wanted to make sure to shout out is Kashan from the Book Archer, another OG. She started a very popular book tag, the Unpopular Opinions book tag, which is one of the biggest tags on this platform. I think almost every creator has done that tag at some point or is going to when they can't find something to film. And they'll be like, oh, that's fun, because it starts really interesting conversations. You get to talk about, you know, books that maybe you don't like, because sometimes we don't want to be negative and we don't necessarily want to talk about books that we don't like. So that is a really big book tag that she originated. I'm trying to think, because I haven't.
Yeah, and I've never heard anyone, like, I haven't heard people credit her.
I've heard Black people credit her.
So I haven't made one yet, but now that I know she did it, that is literally, I'm like, I'm gonna do that one next. I'm the anti-TBR. I already like wrote the script for Ivan, filmed it. Yeah, but I'm like, listen, I'm about to do this opinionated book tag also.
Yes, thank you, Knox Reads. Melanin Eclectic, our own Brittany, started the whole books and makeup trend, which took off recently during the pandemic. I noticed a lot of people were doing it. Even some authors I saw were doing it on Twitter. And I was just like, Brittany, haven't you been doing this since like 2015? But it's fine. But also, but yeah, it's just, you know, there's so many things that we innovate because we're just an innovative people and we create so much, and we have so many cool ideas. And I just wanted to give a moment to kind of spotlight that. I mean, we have had creators on here like Christina Marie. I remember at one time she was one of the OGs. I don't think she really makes videos that much anymore. We have India from Books and Big Hair, who is now a published author, which is amazing. So many people. We have Jordan from Left on Read or Left on Read, who she, again, wasn't a channel that only focused on talking about Black authors. And she made that very clear from her first video. You know, I talk about Black books, Black authors, period. And she was doing it way before, you know, it took off. Oh, Jerry, you're so sweet. But see, that's that encouragement we were talking about. But yeah, so many people that I just want to, like, I just want to give this moment to thank them, because if it wasn't for them, I don't know if I would still be here making videos. You know, we don't know if we would have started our channels. Representation is so important, and just seeing people who look like you doing what you love. And, you know, we're paving the way for a whole new generation of Black booktubers to come up behind us, you know, and talk about, you know, whatever books will be popular when we're not reading those genres anymore, you know, whatever the case. So, yes.
I 100% say with 100% confidence that I would not have started my channel. I also wouldn't probably watch any BookTube videos, because I would have gone to YouTube, looked for it, and then be like, oh, there's nothing for me here, and left and not tried to do it again. Like, had these people not paved the way, and a lot of the people you shouted out still be making videos. And even if they're not still making videos, I can find those old videos. You know what I'm saying? So I've seen the videos, and it's like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like there's a space, because yeah, I personally can 100% say that I would not have continued to look for it on YouTube if I hadn't found that community already in existence because of these people. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't think I would have been like, yeah, I have the time to really invest in jump starting a community. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's not where I'm in my career right now. Like, I don't have the time to invest like that. But I'm so thankful that it was already here. Absolutely. And that it continues to grow. And like now I can say we all as a community continue to invest and pour into that space.
Yes. Absolutely. And just to wrap things up, I really want to talk about y'all's channels for 2021. What are things that you're excited about doing on your channel, some goals, things of that nature? Deeqa?
Oh, yeah. I was literally just waiting. I was like, should I go? Should I say something? Hopefully a bit more of what I'm doing now. Hopefully try and engage a bit more people. I'm hoping to do a bit more collaboration, especially obviously what you've got going here, and obviously the whole team that have all the series of other panels for February, and hopefully get a bit more motivation and innovation for when we've got the UK Black History Month happening in October later on this year. And hopefully get something going for that. And hopefully just, I have slowed down a little bit on my channel purely because I was just like having a bit of a break. I've been a bit more active over on my website, but just to go back to creating more videos, go back to just seeing a bit more of my face. And you hit the nail on the head there as well, Sherri. Sometimes I do get annoyed with my own voice when I'm re-editing myself. It's just I do have to put myself on mute. Just like I can't stand my voice anymore. But hopefully just to talk about more books that you've not heard of and introduce a lot more, because we are lucky now. We're obviously entering a new era where we're getting a chance to have a lot more authors of color, so many different authors from different races that are coming out with new books, and hopefully showcasing more of those on my channel too.
And where can we find you online? Please let us know your website address. Obviously your channel name is up there, but just give us, your socials, give us everything.
No, will do. I mean, literally down to the last page, you'll find me if you put that into Google. My website will be one of the first that will come up. Down to the last page on Instagram. The only difference is my Twitter, which I couldn't fit the whole word in. So it's DWN2, the last page on Twitter. But Instagram is down to the last page. My website's www.downtothelastpage. And obviously on YouTube is down to the last page.
Nice. And it looks like you have a question, Deeqa, from and Jerry of Onyx Pages. She asks, how can non-UK booktubers support UK booktubers? Is there anything else we can do to boost?
I think it's literally just coming on, saying hi, interacting with us. I love interacting with people online, whether that's on Twitter, on Instagram. I try to like I mentioned before, I try and retweet and talk about a lot more UK authors, a lot more, whether they're normal UK authors or normal UK Black authors. So just come find us, say hello on our channels. I think that would probably be the best way. I think once you see a lot more of us and you get more exposure, it almost happens two-way. So you'll see us more, you'll be able to give us more exposure, and I think it will just go on from there.
Amazing. All right. And Neeks, you can go next.
My name is Neeks. You can find me at youtube.com/Neeks. On Twitter, it's Neeks, yeah. I couldn't get Neeks all around. It's stupid. I don't know who's running around with my name, but they need to quit it. It's my name. And then Instagram, it's Neeks Writes and Reads. So for 2021, I am trying to make getting a literary agent happen. Y'all got the hookup. Just, email me. We'll talk about the book. It's fine. I do have a lot of really exciting things coming with the book. A few revise and resubmits are coming in, which is really nice. So I might have a literary agent within a few months. Who knows? If not, I'll just cry, you know. And then I'm drafting another book right now. So regardless, there's writing stuff coming. I want to do more writing videos, not so much advice, but just like, here's some common sense stuff that I figured out. Here, now it's yours. Have it. As you guys know, I have a business, Mindset Crafting, and we sell good things that smell good. New masks are rolling out. I thought I'd plug those in. They got my skin looking good, so maybe you want one. And then obviously later today, Killing Moon discussion with Thistle and Verse, aka Chloe. So excited. Chloe is one of the most analytical booktubers on this platform. So please check out their videos and just go subscribe. I love them. Okay. Sherri?
All right, I'll go next. Before I go, I just want to point out that every time I hear someone say, give us your social, I think of social security number, and I'm I literally, because I'm really bad at being a millennial, so I really have to like consciously be like, that's not what they're asking for. I just wanted to share that with everyone else in the room.
Thank you. We're not trying to steal your identity. We just want you to
I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. So you can find me over at Obsidian Texts and Tangents on YouTube and Instagram. On Twitter, I'm Obsidian TNT because Twitter is a hater and I couldn't get the whole name to fit. So I'm glad we all have that experience too. And what else? Oh, 2021 like goals. My goals are just to keep reading things that I enjoy and talking loudly about them. I have been enjoying collabing with people and being on their like panels and in their lives. So potentially incorporating doing lives over on my channel. I'm not too interested in doing one where like I'm just talking. So inviting people to come hang out with me on the internet live. So I think that's pretty much it. And just like continuing to enjoy reading and centering that in the creative process, so I don't get like sad about no one's listening to me. But I was telling a friend, I was like, I really wish more people would watch my videos. And she was like, well, how many people watch? And I told her, she was like, that many people don't listen to me talk. And I was like, you're right, thank you. I was like, you're right. I feel better now. So just centering that, and like, yeah. People want to hear what you got to say.
It's interesting you say that, Sherri, because I think that it is kind of a wake-up call. I think sometimes we get so caught up in this YouTube numbers game that, you're like, only 50 people watch my videos, only 120, only 300, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And it only takes, someone who loves us truly to bring us down to earth, who's not in this, YouTube bubble that's like, that's a lot of people. And
exactly. And it was like, how did you even start for those numbers? So like, what were you talking about? It was just, yeah. So it was like, it was a really nice, like, what are you talking about moment? And I'm like, you're right.
Exactly. Okay. So we are wrapping up here. And I just want to thank each and every one of you, my lovely panelists, for joining me for this very first panel. We have just made history. Yes, I'm going to gas us up. The very first Black Book Summit, the very first panel. And I just want to thank the three of you so much for joining me. And please, everyone, go subscribe, and not only subscribe, but really engage with their content, like, comment. They have some amazing content to give to this community. And I'm just so excited to see where each of y'all's channels go and grow in 2021, because I don't know, I love y'all, so I don't know why anyone else wouldn't want to.
Oh, I love you.
Yes, thank you. But yes, thank you everyone for coming and joining us and watching. You can watch the playback if you are just now joining, because we about to go. As Sherri said, we have lives, friends, things to do. So thank you again to everybody for joining Black Prose Club on this very first panel for the Black Book Summit. And we will catch you all in next Saturday. We are having our next panel coming up. We're very excited for that one. That one is the Reading for Pleasure versus Views. It's going to be happening on the 13th. Yes, Saturday, February 13th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, same place. So make sure you hit the notification bell and join us and a whole new set of panelists who will be sharing their views on that. And yes, that is it for today. And we will catch y'all next Saturday. Thank you so much, y'all. Bye.
Bye.